Hello, I'm going to help you download some data. Some of you have been asking questions about the downloading data for your trade, for exports, and for imports, goods only. And some of you have been asking about how to get the OECD average. So let me help you do that. So first of all, let's go to the OECD website. I'm going to click on the link that says OECD.stats extracts. Then I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and where it says international trade and balance of payments, I'm going to expand that. Then I'm going to go to the very bottom and expand where it says international trade. I'm going to expand that again. And then I'm going to click on the link that says international trade balance. Click there. Now here's our data. Let's make some adjustments. First of all, click on the link that says subject right here. Now uncheck net trade and exports, and then I want you to check exports in goods, imports in goods. Those are the two items that we want. Next, click on time and frequency right here. Now remember, we want to capture percentage changes from 2005 through 2011. This means we've got to capture 8 years worth of data. We have to include 2004 so we could calculate a percentage change for 2005. So for annual, I'm going to click on the down arrow and select 8 years. Unselect monthly, and for quarterly, let's capture some quarters. I'm going to show you how to use that data. Now for country, look at country. What we're going to do is we're going to keep all of the countries selected. And if you scroll down, you're going to see you're going to have an item called OECD total. And that's how we're going to calculate the average for the OECD. But some years will be blank. I'm going to show you how you could use the rest of the data here to calculate your own OECD total. So we're ready to view the data, so click View Data. And as you can see, we have 2004 through 2010 annual. And what you can't see over to the right are the quarters for 2011. But scroll down and you see that we have all the countries down to the United States, and then we have the OECD total. And you may not be able to see it right here, but 2009, I believe it's 2009, let me make sure. Yeah, 2009 is empty. There's no 2009 data. I'm going to show you how you could fill that in. So we're ready to export this data. So click on the Excel export button right here. I'm going to click on export. And I'm going to click OK. Now let's go to Excel and see what we have here. Click yes. And here's our data from 2005 to 2004 to 2010. Scroll down, and what we see here is the OECD total is missing for 2010. And I'm going to show you how you could fill that in. The first thing we need to do is insert a row between the United States and their euro area here, because we want a blank row for us to total all of the OECD countries on our own. So now you notice if I click on row 42 right here, it highlights multiple rows. The reason why it does that is because the columns A and B are frozen, and rows 1 through 6 are frozen, 1 through 7. We need to unfreeze these. Now, how do you do that? Well, you click on the View tab right here, and where it says Freeze Panes, click on that, and then you click on Unfreeze Panes. And now you've got a vertical line and a horizontal line. Simply double click on those lines and they disappear. Now watch. If when I want to highlight a row right beneath the United States, right here, watch, click on row 42, it now allows me to highlight the entire row. Once I highlight the entire row, I'm going to right click on it. Now, Mac users, I don't think you can right click like here, but what I'm doing is bringing up the shortcut menu that allows me to insert a row. Okay. Now, what I'm simply going to do is I'm simply going to calculate or sum this up. Now, how can you sum this up? Well, you can go to the Home tab, and there is a button called Auto Sum, which is over here to the right. So you can't see it, but over here to the right-hand side of the Home tab, I'm going to click on Auto Sum, and as you could see, if I scroll up, it's going to sum all of the numbers up to Australia. So when we go back down, I'm simply going to click Enter, and there's the total. Now you notice how the total is 527, and look what the OECD total is for when the OECD totaled it. It's 522. There's a slight difference. Now I've been trying to figure out why there's a difference, but for our purposes, it's close enough. So what I want you to do is go back to the sum total that you just did and then autofill that. The way you autofill this is put your cursor right on this little black part of the highlighted cell. Notice how my cursor turns into a black cross. As soon as you see that, you left click and hold and drag. Drag that all the way across. Now you've got totals. Now what we've just done is for OECD total, remember we were missing 2010. Well, we now have our own 2010 right here. So we could use this data to fill in that gap. So the only thing we have to do now is insert another row, and I'm going to calculate the percent change. So I'm going to go right here. So I'm in this row, row E is for 2005. So I'm going to calculate the percentage change for 2005. I'm simply going to type, keep your eye on my formula bar right here. I'm simply going to type in an equal sign. Then I'm going to select the cell that has the total for 2005. I'm going to divide that by the cell that has 2004. Then I'm just going to subtract 1. Hit enter. And there's my percent change. Now, if you want, and I prefer this, I'm going to format it so it shows it as percent, and I'm going to increase the decimals to 2 decimals. Now I'm going to autofill that all the way across. And there you go. Here are your percentages. Now, one thing that you should know, let me scroll up a little bit. Let me split the screen so we can now see the our headings. So if I scroll back down, you notice how we have, this is the percentage change from 2010 through 2005. What do we do about 2011? Well, I'm going to scroll over a little bit, and as you can see, here we have quarterly data. And for 2011, we just have 2 quarters worth of data, here and here. Now what I can do is I could take the percentage change from quarter 1 to quarter 2, and I could do something called annualize it. Now what does annualization mean? That simply means you are taking the simple percent change from one quarter to the next, and you're raising it to the 4th power, taking into account compounding, and you're basically saying, what if that rate of change continued for an entire year? And the way we do that is I am going to go to the cell that has all our totals right here. Okay, so this is where we told it, right? So I'm going to delete all of the quarterly data. Now I'm going to go to the last cell right here. This cell is under 2011 quarter 2. And I'm going to simply calculate the percentage change from Q1 to Q2. So I put my cursor here. Now keep your eye on the formula bar right here. I'm going to click on equals. I'm going to take Q2, divide that by Q1. Now, before I subtract 1, I'm going to raise it to the fourth power, and that's where I use the little caret symbol, and I'm going to put a number 4 there. Now, all I have to do is subtract 1, but before I do that, I've got to put parentheses right here and right here, and then put another set of parentheses right here and right here. And then now I can subtract 1. Subtract 1. And I hit enter. And take a look. See this? That's 17.36%. That's how much total export growth would be if it continued at the pace from Q1 to Q2 for an entire year. And we could use that in our 2011 data. So if we now take this data, oops, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an average now. I'm going to say equals average, open parentheses, and I'm going to average this data and this data and hit enter. There, I have an 8.45% average. That's the OECD average for a total of 7 years for exports in goods. Now, if I go into my spreadsheet, 8.45, I'm going to go to, so goods, I'm going to put 8.45%. And that's how you can calculate the OECD average for export of goods. And this is how you capture that data for both imports and exports. Let me know if you have any questions.